Dr. Tom Roselle live right now. 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We are in studio with this absolutely stunning, gorgeous, beautiful Washington Day. Thank you. Finally, it's here. Hopefully it stays for a while, but we're here to take your phone calls on any aspect of health that you can think about, but from a natural point of view. Perhaps you've had a problem, you've tried, you've applied. Let's see if we can put a different perspective on it so you don't have to look at drugs and needless surgery. Call me, 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. We're broadcasting from 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL. Love to talk to you today. We have a topic that I think you're going to find extremely fascinating. One that, you begin to wonder why things happen to your children, and then ultimately to your bigger children, and ultimately to you, and why they started so early. Well, I have an expert with me, someone who I love to talk to, particularly on this subject. We're going to talk about starting out with nutrition in kids or food in children, and because Dr. Jennifer Sims is going to be your host this Wednesday evening, the 19th of the month at the Roselle Center for Healing. She is going to be our in-house continuing education presenter, and she's going to be talking about this subject, but we're going to talk about it quite a bit today. Welcome, Dr. Jen.
Good afternoon.
It is a great day, finally, huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We shouldn't be doing it inside. We need to be outside with the portable broadcasting unit, sitting on a park bench. And this would be, but we can't do it, so we have to be here. Listen, this is a subject that's kind of a springboard off of the topic that you did at the Ageless Health Seminar in September. And it's a fascinating one because today in our society we see so many kids having attention deficit problems, learning problems, they have discipline problems, they can't sit still. So much of this, and their immune systems are just wrecked. They're coming up with, they're coming down with all kinds of problems, and it comes from the initial phases of what we put into our body, garbage in, garbage out, and that's what we're seeing with our kids, unfortunately. Let's start with just a basic encapsulation of this. How come it's so important that we consider food in kids and food together and the manifestations from that point on?
Well, kids are growing. There's this misconception that children are little adults, and they're not. We don't stop growing until we're about 25. It's so important, the type of nutrition that a child gets, the quality of nutrition that a child gets. It really does make a difference on how that child's brain grows, their physical body grows, their bones, their muscles, everything. And, we know that this starts at birth. Actually, before birth, it starts at, the health of the mom during her pregnancy.
Stuff that mom's putting in her body.
Stuff that mom's putting in her body. If she's on antidepressants, if she's on antibiotics, if she's on any kind of medication, the baby's going to get that. It's going to affect how it grows. It's going to affect its immune system and as that child grows later in life. If the baby is breastfed or bottle fed, it matters. Now, it's not a judgment thing, it's just a reality thing. It's obviously we know that it's better to give a child breast milk, but a lot of women are not able to do that, and a lot of women are not able to do that not because they're not physically able, but because they haven't been encouraged or educated in how to do that. And so we start them off with, corn syrup in the formula.
Yeah, I know.
And we wonder why we have obese children. We wonder why we have so many allergies when the quality of the formula that we're giving isn't very good.
We see so many, unfortunately, over-fat kids today.
We
and
do.
It wasn't, when I was growing up, the foods that we ate, we had a lot of proteins and vegetables, and the grains that we had were whole grains. They weren't adulterated. But now we're getting into a situation where everything is modified. All the foods are preserved. They're genetically modified thanks to Monsanto. And it's showing up as problems with our kids. These kids are hyperreactive. It's almost a bipolar situation, and that's what they're being diagnosed with, and they're being put on all types of drugs. But the bottom line is, there's truly a reason why we're seeing all these problems.
Right, and the good thing is, regardless of how that baby came into the world, and all the things that maybe we didn't do correctly because we just didn't know. There's a lot that you can do from this moment on to change what you're feeding your children, how you're feeding their children, getting them a healthy relationship with the foods that they're eating. It's so important. If we could just teach people how to eat right, it would make such a difference. And a lot of the behavioral problems that we're seeing, the inability to focus, are truly at their core nutritional deficiencies, because we're not feeding our kids food. We're feeding them genetically modified, processed crap and calling it food. So, I mean, with that, you're going to have consequences, and the consequences are little children's nervous systems that are so wound up because they're not getting real nutrition. They're not getting real calcium and magnesium and amino acids and all of the things that they really need to get.
You know, there's so many articles that are coming out just in mainstream medicine today that they're finally realizing things going back way years ago to the Feingold diet, you know, with the additives and preservatives and the food colorants and all those things. And when they took those dyes out and when they took those additives out, they saw things, you know, that were miraculous, calling change in your child. But you know, we can even extend that. I'm just going to put this in as a codicil, that what we're talking about with kids today is also portrayed in adults, because we're eating the same garbage. It's catch as catch can. But our children get off, they don't have any food, they may grab a donut, you know, mom goes out and gets a pastry, or there's these fast things you can pop in the toaster. There's no nutrition there.
No.
And it has an effect.
There isn't any nutrition, and the fact that these things affect the blood sugar in the body. You know, when you're starting your day off without protein, if I had a penny, not even a nickel, a penny, for every time I sit down with a parent and I go over their child's food diary in the office and I tell them, you have to start your first meal of the day. Actually, every meal has to have protein. You are setting that child's blood sugar, their metabolism for the day. If you're giving them a sugary cereal or just cereal in general without any protein, you're going to have a child who's going to fall asleep in class, who's not going to be able to focus, who's not going to be able to complete tasks. I mean, there's so many simple things that you can do, and every single time we sit down and we discuss it, I educate the parent, they come back and they'll go, you know, I've noticed a difference. You know, he's not as grumpy. He's able to, you know, sit longer to do his work. You know, it's little things that seem so, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it would make that big of a difference, but it does.
You know, this Wednesday evening, Dr. Jennifer Sims, my guest today, your host this Wednesday evening, the 19th of the month of October, 7:30 p.m. She's going to be your presenter at our in-house continuing education program. If you have a child, or no matter how old the child is, whether young or they're older, or even you're having a problem with focus and attention and also immune system function and so forth, this is a presentation that you really need to be part of. Those of you who've heard Dr. Jen at the Ageless Health seminars over the years know that she's dynamic. The information you're going to get is very applicable and very straightforward. We encourage you to attend, be our guest. Give our office a call at 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. Tell my staff that you'd like to attend Dr. Jennifer Sims' presentation this Wednesday evening at the Roselle Center for Healing. We're located in Fairfax, just off the National Capital Beltway on Route 50 in the Red Cross building. We'd love to have you, but we have to have a reservation because, as you know, once we're filled, and that's that. So 703-698-7117, that's how you take care of that. And how you talk to us today is 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. Let's talk a little bit about food additives. There was a very interesting article in The Lancet, a very prestigious medical journal recently, that took kids that didn't have the diagnosis of ADD or ADHD, and what they did is they put them on a diet that had chemicals and additives and preservatives. And what the study showed, that in these children that had not been previously diagnosed with any kind of problem, that there was an increase in hyperactivity with these foods and these preservatives. It doesn't prove necessarily that ADD or ADHD is caused by these chemicals, but it did show that once they stopped them, the kids went back to being very normally functioning. Comment on that, Dr. Jen.
Duh. I mean, if you give them processed junk, their nervous system can't handle it. We weren't designed to eat this way. You know, the example I always like to use, and everybody gets all squirmy, is with dairy. You know, we're not baby cows. We shouldn't be drinking cow's milk, right? So we drink homogenized, pasteurized cow's milk. And I like to use this example because by the time it's homogenized and pasteurized, it's no longer a food source, right? It's something that the body's going, ugh, I don't know what to do with this. So what does it do? It depletes calcium from your teeth and your bones, and it increases your and your child's risk for osteoporosis. It's the same thing with these food additives. Oh, the body goes, I don't know what to do with this. This is not food. This is not a protein. This is not a carbohydrate. This is not, what do I do with this? And it starts taking vital nutrients from the body in order to process this. This is going to affect not only our digestive system, but our brain and how it functions. And it's gonna affect our mood and our behavior, because it's not meant to be consumed.
There's a lot of people out there right now who say, what are you talking about, dairy? Dairy is supposed to be good for you. It's supposed to put calcium in your bones. It's supposed to give you protein. You're supposed to be able to drink that. That's what we're told.
Well, the only way that you're going to get true calcium from a cow is if you're doing raw dairy products. That's really the only way that you're going to be getting it to be, but if you're buying even organic dairy off the shelf, it's not a food source anymore. There are so many other more adequate ways to get calcium that's in a usable form than it is to get from an animal, from a cow specifically. We know that it's pus, it's mucogenic, it's extremely inflammatory. And that's just one example, because people can relate to that because everybody loves their milk.
Well, the interesting thing about raw milk opposed to pasteurized, we even just take it from that level. Raw milk, the calcium in the milk is a organic bonded type of substance, and it actually can transport into the tissue given the right capacities and byproducts. However, once you preserve the milk, you heat it. Once you pasteurize it, now it becomes an ionic bond, and it doesn't easily transport. Now it just sits in the arterial system, acting as an inflammatory reagent, and one that's going to cause all kinds of havoc.
Absolutely. And like I said, there are so many other more adequate sources of calcium, much more absorbable forms, like from spinach and kale, and even a good steel-cut oatmeal, Having some of your children eat some of those green things on their plate, it's shocking. It's shocking that there's calcium in them. Almonds, salmon, sunflower seeds, quinoa, brown rice. There's so many different ways to get the calcium. We have just bought in to the American food pyramid, which we're now realizing a lot, not we, you and I, but society is now realizing it's not a very good pyramid between so many people who have sensitivity to carbohydrates because of the high grain consumption on the food pyramid and the dairy consumption. It's very confusing to know what to eat if you're going by the U.S. government guidelines of what's good food, because
it's wrong.
It's wrong. It's just not the way we should be eating. We should be eating more like the Mediterranean diet.
Thank you very much.
So, yes, I know that you've been saying that forever.
Yes,
but it's just basic common sense. But, you have to maybe cook and people don't want to cook. Or, you have to actually plan the meals and people don't want to do that. Yet they still want their child to behave or, not be sick all the time. Let's just take behavior out of it. Let's just take immunity. I've got so many kids coming in with just trashed immune systems, cold all of the time, strep throat constantly, 3 and 4 rounds of antibiotics, eczema, asthma. A lot of this can be managed with diet.
And we're going to talk about how to do that. And I want to remind you that this Wednesday evening, Dr. Jennifer Sims, as you can see, slightly enthusiastic about the subject, will be your host at the Roselle Center for Healing in our in-house continuing education program. If you'd like to attend, 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now. 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. My guest in studio, Dr. Jennifer Sims. We're talking about nutrition in kids and food in kids and why you got ADD, ADHD problems and hyperactivity and immune system and being overly fat and all of those things. And by the way, that extends to all of us as adults because it starts early on, starts in the beginning. And if you don't pay attention to it now, problems manifest themselves even worse as time goes on. 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. That's how you talk to us here. And this Wednesday night, Dr. Jennifer Sims will be your presenter, your host at the Roselle Center for Healing, talking about this subject. If you'd like to attend, 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. Tell my staff that you'd like to be there with us. Like to extend an offer. Many of you who've been listening for a long time know that Thermography Centers has been a sponsor of Dr. Tom Roselle Live for many years now, and this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I got a call from Dareth Painter, who's one of the thermographers for thermography centers, and she has said that they are offering between now and at the end of the month, in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, a 20% discount in all thermographic scans from tomorrow to the end of the month. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, call Dareth at 703-943-7248 or go online and check out thermographycenters.com. That's only in the Fairfax office. So check that out and give us a call, and they'll be more than happy to do that for you. 20% discount in any thermographic imaging. Dr. Jen, let's go to the phones. There's a lady that's waiting very patiently, and I'd like to answer the question. Kathy, thank you for calling. How can we help you?
Hi, Dr. Roselle. Sorry to break from your topic.
Not a problem.
Any good one.
Any conversation is a good one.
Well, you've always helped me before. So my daughter came home from college for the weekend, and her gland was really swollen, and I kind of thought it might be mono, and I took her for a blood test, and it was. And her friend's mother is a homeopath, and she suggested some ester C, 1,000 milligrams, some fish oil, the same amount, chewable zinc to take. I know all you can do really is rest and drink plenty of fluids, but, life at college, I guess.
Yeah, kissing disease, huh?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm a hygienist, so I know it's passed through saliva, but she's not dating anyone right now, so I know it's not that. Anyway, I was wondering if you had any additional thoughts.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can do, actually, as long as we understand, for our listeners, that it's viral. And diet is going to be extremely important. You've got to take all the junk out of the diet. You have to make sure that foods that are high in omega-3 fatty acids, haddock and salmon, but wild-caught fish are the ones that you're looking for. Keep the protein levels adequate. Stay away from pork. Lots of fluids, and coconut water actually is a really good thing in some of the herbal teas, particularly green tea. But as we said, eliminating all the unhealthy foods from the diet, so we take the stress off. Now, having said that, here's the things that you can do. Naturally, there's a lot of good antivirals that you can get. Vitamin C is one of them, but you want to kick it way up. You want to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 5, 6, 7,000 milligrams a day. Take 1,000 milligrams every hour, as long as it doesn't cause diarrhea. And that's really the only side effect. And if it does, just back it down a little bit. You want to go pick up some L-lysine. It's an amino acid. L-lysine, L-Y-S-I-N-E, and I would take anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams a day. That also works extremely well. Just doing those things and making sure that sleep is good. IgG is part of the immune system, and you can go to health food store and you can get an IgG support. That would be adequate as well. Now, not knowing your daughter, things like homeopathics and so forth, I would test specifically from a constitutional point of view, but nevertheless, that's where you begin the process. Vitamin B12 will decrease the inflammatory level, but the hydroxy form of B12. There's a whole lot more that you can do, but that's a start, and I'm coming up to the news, unfortunately, Kathy, and if you want to get a hold of me, just go to Roselle Care.
Could you just tell me how much B12?
You want to take approximately 1,600 units 4 times a day with at least 800 units of folic acid each time you take these 1,600 units. That'll keep the inflammatory levels down and upregulate the immune response, and that should help a lot.
Thank you so much.
Kathy, you're more than welcome. We're coming up to a break. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle live. My guest in studio, Dr. Jennifer Sims, and we're talking about kids and food and kids and immune function and ADD and ADHD and why you really need to make a difference. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Dr. Tom Roselle live continues now. 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle live. We are in studio, 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. Love to talk to you. We're broadcasting from 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL. My guest in studio, Dr. Jennifer Sims. We're talking about food and kids and the ramifications from ADD to overfat to you can't function to hyperactivity, and it can go on and on. As a matter of fact, this Wednesday, she's going to go on and on and on because she's your host at our office at the Roselle Center for Healing, and she will be your presenter at an in-house continuing education program Wednesday the 19th, 7:30 p.m., Love to have you as our guest. Give us a call at 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. If you'd like to call us here, 888-630-9625. Dr. Jen, there's an interesting article, several that actually came out over time, but one, I'm going to just read a quote. It says, our results provide additional support for the belief that the administration of food colorings and additives may exert significant effects in the developing organism. Thus, it is apparent that food dyes and additives affect activity levels, and goes on and on. This was written by Dr. Bennett A. Schwewitz, Pediatric Neurology, Yale University School of Medicine, and is published in Neurobehavioral Toxicology, Volume 14147, and also references American Journal of Pediatrics and a crossover study of artificial food coloring in hyperkinetic children. So the information is there. And why do people ignore this stuff?
I don't know if it's so much they ignore it. I just don't think they realize it. You know, when you go into the grocery store, you just kind of go through and pick your stuff. I think there's this misconception that if it's on the shelf, somehow it's safe. And so I think that unless you are actively trying to get more educated about nutrition, that most people just get complacent and buy what they always buy because that's what they've always fed themselves and that's what they feed their children. So, I mean, I see that a lot. One thing that I can tell you is a direct manifestation of poor nutrition is all the skin conditions that come in. I see kids covered with eczema, weird skin lesions, and it all comes down to a poor diet, yeast overgrowth on the skin, too much sugar in the body, too many fast-acting carbohydrates, too many chemicals the body can't process, creates an environment in the digestive system that gets systemic. Liver can't detoxify very well. Things start to dump on the skin. And you've got little kids who are itchy or who have hives. Or they're little, 3- and 4-year-olds and their skins feel like sandpaper.
Scabby and rashy. And it should be nice and smooth and soft and gentle.
Right. And these parents come in and they really want to get their kids better. But they don't realize and they actually get to see how quickly just a few dietary changes and the right nutritional support, how the body starts to heal itself. But I just don't think people look unless there's a problem. And I think programs like this put it out there so people can start asking the question, because most people don't even ask the question unless there's a problem. And I mean, it's pretty much with anything. So unless your kid's having an issue, you kind of just think, well, it's fine what I feed them, that, we have a soccer game and I don't have time to cook, so we'll go to McDonald's. And then, before you know it, that's 3 nights a week. That's their dinner, hydrogenated oils, chemicals, it just gluten, all this genetically modified food. You do that 3-4 nights a week, you're going to start to break down your immune system because the body is not meant to eat that way.
No, it's not meant to eat that way, and your body doesn't know what to do with that stuff that comes in. I was going to say information. It is a neurochemical informational source. The intestinal tract is a second brain, and it produces 80% of serotonin, which is the feel-good juices in the body. It also upregulates things like GABA, which is neurotransmitter. And if that gut isn't working the way it's supposed to, the brain can't work. It's impossible. And, you're talking about the filtering system. If the gut has been irritated because of all this junk that's going in the system, now it becomes permeable, and we get things going back into the system, and it goes to the liver, and now the liver can't handle it, so it's got to come out through the skin, because the skin is the largest organ of elimination in the body.
You're absolutely right. And, it's just one of those things that people don't make the connection that that's what's happening. So yeah, it's getting to the point where everybody's got a skin issue or everybody has eczema. That's just not normal.
So Wednesday night, when you go through all of this and you're going to start breaking it down, I know how you are. You're going to start picking this apart. You're going to give tons of data, and the shoe fits everybody. It fits all of us that have any kind of neurological dysfunction, skin irritation, hyperactivity patterns. But are you going to show people how to put the pieces together and what they really need to do about it?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point. It's just education. First, you got to figure out, what there's usually a problem, like I said, and then figuring out what you can do to fix it without slapping steroids on it or taking an antibiotic or, the traditional way of healing it, because all you're going to do is chase your tail. You will be going in circles with the same condition forever unless you just, you apply a different treatment. You're always talking about what the definition of insanity is. I think most of us live in an insanity. We keep, kids got an issue, if their skin, we give them cortisone, right? We give them steroids to stop it itching. Does that fix the reason why their skin's that way and their digestive system isn't working? No, it doesn't. It takes away the itch, and then it causes an adrenal problem. And you talk about the adrenals all the time, those little ductless glands that sit on top of your kidneys. Their sympathetic nervous system, their fight or flight gets all jacked up.
As much as I kid around with Maryland all the time being the social state around here, but Maryland, going back a couple years ago, introduced 2 bills that would require labeling foods that contain coloring and additives, and that they believed, after extensive study, that it was instrumental in causing ADHD in both adults and children, and they wanted to have an outright ban following by the year 2010. The bill was prompted by actually 2 British studies that linked food colorings to hyperactivity and related behavioral problems. The ADHD linkage was very specific, and they wanted to put a warning that says that coloring, the color additives in this food may cause hyperactivity and behavioral problems in some children. That's for real stuff. This is not something that is being made up. It's out there. It's all over the place, and we have to acknowledge that that there is this linkage.
Yeah, most European countries have done bans on this stuff years ago. We're so behind with our health care in this country, and it's just shown time after time on how other countries, they realize there's a problem, they go, oops, we got to stop doing it, and they change their laws. Here we go, oh yeah, we acknowledge we messed up, but we're still going to leave it alone. I mean, you can see that with vaccines, which is another thing I love to chat about, but and how the FDA has changed its definition of what zero is, just so that in food labeling and processing that you can slip things into what we eat by saying they have zero amount of this food in it, when that's not the case. Now it's parts per serving. Like, when did zero not become zero anymore?
It's crazy, because we have kids that come in, we have adults that come in. Many people saw the program that I did with Ray Lynn on allergies. And, here's a situation where, this young girl was suffering profoundly for many years, and we did a lot of things to rebalance the neurology in the system. We changed her dietary patterns, we desensitized the allergens, and she stood the course, and subsequently changed her life dramatically. But we see that with children and adults ongoing with all kinds of problems, that they have these conditions, and when they really get it, they say, well, why can't I have just a little bit? I don't eat that much of it. It's like the kid who, up in Canada who got kissed and died because, had peanut butter in their mouth, right? It's a little bit sometimes is way too much, and even though it's not going to cause a morbid situation of that magnitude, it can, in fact, cause sickness and dysfunction and debilitation. And there's tons of studies. There's the neurobiology of attention deficit disorders was done by a guy by the name of Ferrone and Biederman, and it was sponsored by the Harvard Medical School, and it was sponsored by Massachusetts Mental Health Center and Harvard Institute of Psychiatric Epidemiology and Genetics. They know it. They get it. But it's not being put out there.
No, it's not, and that's why it's important for people to get educated and to start paying attention to these bills, to start noticing how they're spending their money in the grocery store, really looking into what they're eating, making it count financially in what they purchase. See, if more people just got even a little bit more educated about the food that they purchase, then those grocery stores would start carrying better quality things. But when everyone's going to all the food that's in the center of the aisles and nothing on the outside of the aisles, so all the box prepared foods, kids were not really made to eat Kraft macaroni and cheese and chicken nuggets. I mean, that's not how we were designed. No, that's not That's not a good diet. That's kid food, right? That's what we give our kids. We give them trash. And we say, well, that's all they'll eat. I love that one. That's all they'll eat. Really? Because maybe they'd eat different things if you expose them to different things.
Well, I tell my patients they won't starve. If you don't give them what they want, pretty soon they're going to get hungry.
Absolutely. And, that's the whole point. You expose them to different types of foods. You expose them to vegetables. You don't give up maybe once or twice because they don't like it. Statistically, it shows that, especially when you're dealing with little kids, trying to get them to, the toddler age and up, you have to expose them to the same food up to 12 times before they can really make the choice if they like it or not. Most of us, after the second time, they don't like it. They only like the pasta. My kid will only eat pasta. They don't like any kind of protein. And you see these kids with dark circles under their eyes, bags under their eyes,
Yeah, you don't get iron and you don't get B12. You don't get vitamins and minerals from any of that stuff that's sitting there white. Going back to a lot of the publications that are out there, and we talked about the Lancet. This year, February the 5th, 2011, in issues of Lancet reports that researchers in Netherlands and Belgium were able to significantly reduce ADHD symptoms through restrictive dietary measures. And it goes on and it gives tons and tons of applications and references for this stuff. The study was published in Lancet, was funded by Foundation of Child and Behavior and Foundation Nuts and O'Hara Foundation for Children's Welfare Stamps in the Netherlands. These are social countries that are trying very, very hard to keep their costs down and try to figure out where things are really coming from. As you said earlier, we are so far behind. We have no clue what other parts of the world know about this subject.
We know it, we just don't apply it, right? So that's why I said if the more educated that we can become, the better that we could take care of our children so that they don't make the mistakes with their children. I mean, we'll see a change in our society, in the health of our society, but I got to tell you, I see a lot of sick kids, just a lot of funky stuff, constant infections, constant strep throats, like I said earlier, which really, and I've talked about this before, strep throat is an indication, honestly, that the digestive system is such a wreck. It's not a problem in the throat. I always find it very interesting. We've got like 10,000 bacteria in the back of our throat, but we can only seem to culture strep. It cracks me up that's, they have strep again. Well, really, if you want to fix that, you really have to look at that child's digestive system.
You have to fix the gut.
You fix the gut, and guess what? They stop getting that. They stop.
This Wednesday evening, Dr. Jennifer Sims will be your host and presenter at our in-house continuing education program. If you'd like to hear more of this and actually get the hands on how to do it, give us a call at 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. Tell my staff that you'd like to attend this Wednesday, the 19th of the month.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now. 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You've been listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We're in studio, 888-630-9625. My guest, Dr. Jennifer Sims, who will be your host, your presenter at our in-house continuing education program this Wednesday evening, the 19th of October at 7:30 p.m. We'd like to encourage you to attend. If you're having any issues with anybody in your family or you yourself with ADD, ADHD, immune function problems, please call us at 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. And tell my staff that you'd like to attend. These presentations are a gift from us to you. The only thing we do require is that you call us and tell us that you're coming, because otherwise we don't have enough room. And those of you who attended Dr. Poe's presentation over the last 2 weeks knew that we sold out. I mean, we filled up, and even though that we don't charge you anything, you've got to be there. 703-698-7117. Dr. Jen, we have a couple calls. I'm going to try to take one, but in the meantime, tell us how this presentation is going to help people and what you're going to do.
It's going to show them how very non-complicated it is to just make, even if you just make 2 changes in your diet and your child's diet. And actually, I think you should do it for your family. One person shouldn't be eating different than the other one in the house, quite frankly. It's too complicated, and it's usually everybody benefits from good changes. So, one, seeing where we have the problem, what we can do, to fix it and kind of go from there. I know you want to take this call.
Yeah, this is right on topic. Okay. Margaret, are you there?
Yes, hi.
Thank you for calling. So you have a 3-year-old, huh?
Yeah, he just turned 3, and his mom is feeding him chicken nuggets, macaroni and cheese, kefir and yogurt, and those little fish crackers.
Yeah.
And he won't eat a whole lot of anything else, so what do you recommend? His forearms are itching, and I think he's got, like, pink circles under his eyes. And he's got eczema. The doctor gave him hydrocortisone cream to put on his legs every night, and just little spots, and they think that's just fine.
Okay, we don't have a lot of time, so what I would recommend immediately is getting him off the dairy products. There's tons of correlation showing skin conditions with dairy allergy. Okay. Dairy and gluten, those little goldfish, are full of gluten. Okay. Those are the 2 things I would start with. That pasta is gluten.
And also the chicken nuggets with the stuff
with gluten. So he's eating bread and dairy. Pretty much that's all he's eating.
What is recommended to feed him?
Oh my goodness, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, the same things you would I mean, I've got a 3-year-old. He doesn't eat that.
How about almonds, raw almonds?
Provided eggs, provided. Eggs are tough because he does have eczema. He might be sensitive to them. There's a lot of things. We're running out of time. Look, but
Margaret, if you can come to the program, we will get very specific. And we'd love to have you there. Please do make every attempt. Otherwise, get a hold of Dr. Jen at rosellcare.com.
Shoot me an email.
The problem is this program is way too short. So please be our guest this Wednesday evening. Dr. Jennifer will be your presenter. We'll see you next week right here at 12 noon. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. Bye.